SDN Tech Forum. This is S3 demo. So now I'm logged in as root user or IAM user. This is IAM user, as you can see. And that means I have admin privileges. That's all I wanted to establish. Click on S3. And previously I have talked about S3 literature. When you come to S3, you can create buckets which will be used to store your objects like images, documents, etc. So I do have a bucket created, but let's go ahead and create a new bucket. There is a soft limit on how many number of buckets you can create, and also one of the key requirement is bucket name should be unique across Amazon, which is, I think, tiresome sometime, especially if you are using something like dev. So test, dev, and all those things has been already taken, and you cannot reuse them. As you can see, bucket name has some minimum and maximum characteristics, what are kind of special character you can allow, and also it cannot be formatted as IP address, cannot prefix as xn hyphen hyphen, just like Windows has some restrictions, similar restrictions here. Example bucket name, something like this, right? So be aware, if you are struggling to find a unique bucket name, you need to know what is allowed. Let me try if I can say SDN Tech AWS CrashCourse, and in which region you want to create this. So bucket is a regional service. It's not tied to availability zone or etc. And at the same time, it's not a global. Okay. Copy setting from existing bucket, you can do that. Object ownership, ACL disabled, ACL enabled. Control ownership of object written to this bucket from other AWS account. So we will keep ACL disabled for now. And you can see the default setting is block all public accesses. That means this default bucket is private. It doesn't have access until or unless you define any ACLs. So let's keep this block all public accesses. And here are the things, when you check the box, here are the things which comes into effect. You can also enable bucket versioning. That means when you delete or add objects, they are versioned, and it is good for snapshot, but it also increases your data storage and cost. So we'll keep it disabled. Always try to add some tags. As I mentioned, it is good for your reporting purpose. So I'm going to say this is S3 not very optimal, but hopefully that should be. Server-side encryption, you can always enable encryptions, like you can use Amazon managed key or S3 managed key for encryption, but we don't want encryption at this moment, so let's keep it disabled. I'm going to say advanced setting, object lock. You can store object using write once, read many, that worm, and I highly advocate you to go and read this blog. So this is a very useful blog. Store object using a write once and read many. That means you write once and the object is locked, but you can read as many times as you want. All right. So we'll keep it disabled for now. It depends on your use case. Let's create a bucket. So all we did is just provided a unique bucket name. And as you can see, access is public, access is not public. Now go to this bucket. You can see this is my object. There is no object right now. Properties, bucket versioning, or everything what we discussed during bucket creation, those options are mentioned here. Permissions, as you can see, bucket and objects are not published, and block all public access is on. Okay, there is no bucket policy created. So let's go ahead and upload something on this bucket. Either you can do a drag and drop or you can browse. So let me drag and drop something. This is the Jupyter Markdown cheat sheet, which I'm going to make public. So let me upload this here. Destination, as you can see, S3 colon SDN. So this is my destination. I can use actually file transfer protocols like CyberDuck and even FileZilla. They have S3 support now. Upload succeeded. View details below. So the information below is, if you fine, so it is status is succeeded. Now we can close it safely. You can see in this bucket now, S3 bucket SDN Tech AWS CrashCourse, we have one document available, right? I can come to action. I can actually copy, move, rename, delete, or download. What you can do, you can actually, without opening access to the bucket, you can simply share it with pre-signed ACL. That means it will generate a URL, and whoever has access to URL within this time frame, within expiry time frame, they can use that. So let me say for 5 minutes, I want to share this. Create a pre-signed URL. A pre-signed URL has been created and copied to your clipboard. So let's go and open this in a browser. Here you go. So I have access to this. Though my bucket is blocked for public access, a user can access the document if they have this pre-signed URL and it is not expired. So that is one way of sharing, but it is very controlled way of sharing, because as you can see, when you want to create a pre-signed URL, if you select number, must be whole number between 1 and 12. So maximum you can set is 12 hour. If I try to do 24, it will not work. So this is not very consistent way of sharing. This is some ad hoc sharing is fine, but this is not consistent way, because you have to refresh it every 12 hours. All right. So let's see what else we can do. If we want to open it, like if I want all the SDN Tech Forum users or members to download this document, we can actually open that access. And before we go into permission, let's quickly look into properties. And within property, you can see intelligent tiering archive configuration. So we can create S3 intelligent tiering. That means the document which are accessed frequently, they'll be part of one tier. The document which are not accessed frequently, they'll go to the next tier, and which will say help me save some money for my S3 bucket uses. So you can simply either read through this document, storage class for automatically optimizing data with changing or unknown access pattern. If you are an organization which who is storing a lot of data in S3, I think this is a good idea to go ahead and enable this. Create configuration. It's pretty easy to enable. So, but we are not going to do that. So let's cancel it out. Event notification. Send a notification when a specific event occurs in your event, and so you can create some event notification as well. All right, now let's go to permissions. I want to open permission for all the users. So what you can do, you can actually go to edit, uncheck this, and make save changes. Obviously, from UI, AWS want you to confirm your intent. Now you can see block all public access is off. And if I go to object, and if I copy the URL, I'll have access to the bucket. Access denied. Okay. Very good. So what happened? We know that permission is block all public access, but still I'm not able to access this. It says access denied. So what happened there? Because we didn't created any bucket policy, and bucket policy comes is like a granular control. So you need to apply some bucket policy, so that you know what a user can do. So this is a JSON blob. You have to create a policy using JSON blob. If you are familiar with the JSON command line, you can look at some of the policy example, how a policy looks like. And this is a sample of the policy. You have statement. This is policy statement. Under that, you have three key component. One is effect, principle, and action. Obviously, resource as well. You can attach some conditions, but these are the few things. Like what what is the resource you want to access or provide access, what kind of access you want to provide, say put access, get access, and what is your principal who will be coming to access this, right? The user. So this is the highly recommended document. Please, I'll put the description in the link. Please go ahead and read this. So what we can do now, we can either use a policy generator. Let me click on policy generator. If you don't know how to write a policy, this is very handy. S3 bucket policy, because we want to write a S3 bucket policy. Effect is allow. Principal, let's say principal is anyone in this case. AWS service is Amazon S3. Action, what action I want to get. So I want user to come and access object inside the bucket. So as you can see, there are multiple granular actions available, but we want to do something like get object. We'll say get object and add condition. You can say add condition. You must enter a valid ARN. Resource field is not valid. ARN must follow the prompt. So you need to have your bucket ARN. So let's go back to our bucket, where you can find ARN. You can find ARN into properties, ARN, Amazon resource name. Take this and put it in your bucket. Add statement, as you can see, principal this, and now my condition is created. This is the condition I want to express, and now I will generate a policy in access policy language, which is a JSON blob. As you can see, this is my policy. Basically, you have to focus on get object, action, and effect. Principal can be anyone. Just copy this. Go to permissions again. Block all public access is already off. If not, please go ahead and off this and then apply. You have to click on edit and then do a paste here. All right. Save changes. If there is any error, you will see the error here. Policy must be valid JSON, or first byte type must be this. Okay. Resources. Save changes. Valid JSON and first byte must be this. I think there is extra space here. Yes. Successfully edited bucket policy. So as you can see, this is my policy. I was using a white space, that's why it was throwing me error. Another thing you may have noticed that what I did here is under resource, I edited the bucket name with backslash and asterisk. That make it wildcard. That means any user can come to this bucket and fetch any object under it. So anything under this bucket. Now let's go and try to access this. As you can see, now it is available. So we disable the public, enable the public access by unchecking that box, and then we enable a bucket policy. Once you enable the bucket policy, the object is available as per our intent or as per our design. So this is how you can work with S3. I'll show you one another cool video how to host your static web page on S3, but this is good enough to start. You know what is S3, where you can use S3, and now you know how to use S3. So I hope you find this video useful. You are finding this crash course interesting. Please do leave me comment, suggestions, and you can reach out to me on sdntechforum@gmail.com if you have any specific questions. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.